The Blessed One said, Vaishashasena, listen, and I will explain. And then at that time, the Blessed One displayed a smile. After that, at that time, from the face of the Blessed One, there shone forth rays of light of many varied colors, 84,000 rays of hundreds of thousands of colors, such as blue, yellow, red, white, crimson, crystal, and silver light rays. They came forth and lit up limitless, boundless world systems. When they returned, they circumambulated the Blessed One 3 times and disappeared into the crown of the head of the Blessed One. At that, the Bodhisattva, the great being Vaishashasena, arose, placed his upper robe over one shoulder, set his right knee on the ground, bowed with his palms together toward the Blessed One, and said the following to the Blessed One. Blessed One, since Tathagatas, Arhats, perfect and complete Buddhas, do not smile without cause and without conditions, what is the cause of the smile, and what are the conditions? The Blessed One said, Vaishashasena, do you see groups of beings from all the world systems of the 4 directions coming toward me? He said, Blessed One, I do not see them. The Blessed One said, Vaishashasena, in that case, examine carefully and look at the groups of beings. Then the Bodhisattva, the great being Vaishashasena, looked all about, and he saw that to the east there appeared a tree measuring some 7,000 yojanas. 25,000 million groups of people were assembled by one side of it. The people did not speak, they did not talk, they did not converse, they did not eat, they did not arise, they did not move about, they sat in silence. To the south, there appeared a tree measuring some 7,000 yojanas. 25,000 million groups of people were assembled by it. These people did not talk and did not speak either. They did not speak at all. They did not converse at all. They did not arise. They did not move about. They sat in silence. To the west, there appeared a tree measuring some 7,000 yojanas. 25,000 million groups of people were assembled by it. These people did not talk either. They did not speak. They did not speak at all. They did not converse at all. They did not arise. They did not move about. They sat in silence. To the north, there appeared a tree measuring some 7,000 yojanas. 25,000 million groups of people were assembled by it. These people did not talk either. They did not speak. They did not speak at all. They did not converse at all. They did not arise. They did not move about. They sat in silence. In a downward direction, there appeared a tree measuring some 7,000 yojanas. 25,000 million groups of people were assembled by it. Those people did not talk either. They did not talk, they did not speak, they did not speak at all, they did not converse at all, they did not arise, they did not move about, they sat in silence. In the upward direction, there appeared a tree measuring some 7,000 yojanas. 25,000 million groups of people were assembled by it. Those people did not talk either. They did not talk, they did not speak, they did not speak at all, they did not converse at all, they did not arise, they did not move about, they sat in silence. Thereupon the Bodhisattva, the great being Vaishashasena, said to the Blessed One, "If the Blessed One would grant me the opportunity to pose a question and then have it explained, I would like to ask a question of the Blessed One, the Tathagata, the Arhat, the perfect and complete Buddha, regarding a certain point in question." He said this, and the Blessed One spoke to the Bodhisattva, the great being Vaishashasena, as follows. "Vaishashasena, ask whatever you wish, and I will delight your mind with an explanation of whatever is asked." He spoke thus, and the Bodhisattva, the great being Vaishashasena, said the following to the Blessed One. "Blessed One, for what purpose did many groups of people from the worlds in the four directions come and remain here? And then from between the lower and upper directions, 50,000 million groups of beings came and remain here. What is the reason for this? What are the conditions?" The Blessed One said, "Vaishashasena, go yourself and ask the Tathagatas in the world systems from which they came." He said, "Through the production of whose supernatural power should I go?" The Blessed One said, "Produce your own supernatural power and go through that." Then the Bodhisattva, the great being Vaishashasena, circumambulated the Blessed One 3 times and disappeared right there. After passing 96 million world systems, he arrived at a world system called Chandra Pradipa. There, the Blessed One, the Tathagata, the Arhat, the perfect and complete Buddha Chandravati Kshetra, was teaching the Dharma, seated in front and completely surrounded by 80,000 million bodhisattvas. Then the Bodhisattva, the great being Vaishashasena, remained before the Blessed One. The Tathagata Chandravati Kshetra, with his palms together, he bowed down toward the Blessed One and then said to the Blessed One, "Blessed One, why is it that I do not see here presently the groups of people who are presently gathering from the 10 directions and coming into the presence of the Shakyamuni Tathagata in the Saha world system?" The Blessed One said, "Vaishashasena, they wander about and abide right there." He said, "But, Blessed One, how is that?" At that, the Bodhisattva, the great being Vaishashasena, went up to where the Tathagata Chandravati Kshetra was. Once he had arrived, he sat before that Tathagata. He said the following to the Blessed One, "Blessed One, I passed 96,000 million world systems and have come here, and, Blessed One, nowhere have I seen as many sentient beings as those that are seen there." The Blessed One said, "Those sentient beings arose from mindless trees." He said, "Blessed One, who has seen or heard of arising from trees that have no mind?" The Blessed One said, "Vaishashasena, have you not seen or heard of the arising of people from mindless trees?" He said, "Blessed One, I have not seen or heard of that." The Blessed One said, "Vaishashasena, if you wish to see, I will show you now." He said, "Blessed One, I wish to. Sanghata, I wish to." Thereupon the Tathagata Chandravati Kshetra extended his arm, and from that arm 100,000 million groups of beings arose. Each of those groups of people extended 100 arms and scattered incense. garlands, and various lotions as offerings to the Tathagata. And the Blessed One said, Vaishashasena, do you see this group of people scattering incense, garlands, and lotions as offerings to the Tathagata? He said, Blessed One, I see them. Sugata, I see them. The Blessed One said, these groups of beings who arose are mindless. These people are mindless. Then each of those 100,000 million human beings had 100 arms, and they all fell down. Then when the Bodhisattva, the great being Vaishashasena, had seen that, he said to the Blessed One, Blessed One, what is this, Sugata? What is this, that the people's 100 arms fall down in an instant too? Blessed One, if even the 100 armed ones are not liberated, what need is there to mention those with 2 arms? The Blessed One said, Vaishashasena, similarly, the sentient beings are born mindlessly. They cease mindlessly. Vaishashasena, you should know that this body also comes about mindlessly. He said, Blessed One, regarding these sentient beings, which are young, which are old? The Blessed One said, Vaishashasena, they are young sentient beings, and they are also old sentient beings. He said, Blessed One, which are young, which are old? The Blessed One said, those who were falling down just now are old. Those who were born from the trees are young. He said, Blessed One, I wish to see the young sentient beings. At that, the Tathagata Chandravati Kshetra extended the palm of his right hand, and thereupon there came 100,000 million groups of people from each of the 10 directions, from the lower and upper directions. There came 15 million groups of people each. When these groups of people had arrived, they prostrated with their heads at the feet of the Blessed One. After that, they did not speak to the Tathagata. They did not speak at all. They sat in silence. Then the Bodhisattva, the great being Vaishashasena, said to the Blessed One, Blessed One, why is it that these sentient beings do not speak to the Blessed One, do not speak at all, and remain without speaking? The Blessed One said, Vaishashasena, do you not understand? The land is mindless, and it does not speak. It does not speak at all, and it does not understand the heap of Dharma either. If you should wonder why that is so, Vaishashasena, some young sentient beings here do not understand birth, although they have seen it, cessation, aging, sickness, sorrow, weeping, separation from loved ones, coming into contact with what is unpleasant, parting with friends, dying, untimely death. They do not understand any of these unbearable sufferings. Even though they have seen them, they are not moved and revolted by them. So how could they possibly understand them? Vaishashasena, they must be taught again and again. At that, the Bodhisattva, the great being Vaishashasena, said this to the Blessed One. Blessed One, from where have these young sentient beings who do not know the Dharma come? From where did they migrate at death? And where will they be born? The Blessed One said, Vaishashasena, listen. These human bodies that they have received were not made by a jeweler. They were not made by a coppersmith. They were not made by a carpenter. They were not made by a potter. They were not made out of fear of a king. Rather, they arise from the union of a man and a woman and from the possession of bad karma. Those sentient beings too are taught a trade again and again, and because of that, endless, unbearable sufferings and unbearable feelings arise. In that, they experience the ripening of wicked, non-virtuous actions done previously. By Shachasena, in this place, these sentient beings who have come here and are not rising up will feel these sorts of suffering. By Shachasena, for this reason, they do not speak. They do not speak at all. By Shachasena, that being so, these young sentient beings do not understand virtue. They do not understand birth. They do not understand cessation. They will not attain human bodies, even, and these, by Shachasena, are what are called young sentient beings. He said, Blessed One, how are these young sentient beings born? How do they cease? The Blessed One said, by Shachasena, it is as follows. To make an analogy, some man might bring a piece of wood into contact with fire. Just as that wood would gradually catch on fire, in the same way, by Shachasena, one is initially born into a human body. After birth, one then experiences cessation. One then experiences sensations. He said, Blessed One, who is actually born here? After birth, who completely passes beyond? The Blessed One said, by Shachasena, the Buddha himself is born. The Tathagata himself completely passes beyond. It is as follows. To make an analogy, the king puts some man in bondage and imprisons him in a dark and gloomy building. After the man enters that gloomy building, once inside that gloomy building, he sees that it is a gloomy building. Then another man who has previously been affected by some experience of suffering sees this and thinks, this man is ill-suited for this because he has not experienced suffering previously. It will kill him. Reflecting on this, he took fire and went there and left a slight bit of fire behind in that house. The man who had been put in that jail saw the fire, and when he saw it, he was consoled and cheered up. But that fire, for some reason, flared up, and this blazing fire completely burned up that house, and the man was also burned up right there. Then, when the king heard that he had been burned, he was displeased. He thought, from now on, no sentient being will be put in prison in my land. Thinking in this way, the king then said to the sentient beings dwelling in his land, O you sentient beings, have no fear. Do not be afraid. You should not fear. From now on, in my land, there will be no corporal punishment or imprisonment. No sentient being will be deprived of life. O sentient beings, have no fear. Just as he reassured them, so too, by Shachasena, the Tathagata, who has burnt up all the delusions, has entirely pacified all illness. Just as that man burned his own body, too, through the burning of the building, And having set out for the sake of sentient beings' aims, benefit, and happiness, he completely liberates sentient beings who are bound from their bondage. Likewise, too, the Tathagata abandoned the stains of attachment, anger, and ignorance, and having arisen in the world like a lamb for all sentient beings, he completely liberates sentient beings from the bodies of hell beings, animals, pretas, and asuras. And he also completely liberates young sentient beings and old sentient beings too.